All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this workshop. My name is Savvy, and today we're going to talk about how to modulate your voice, whether that is in going towards a feminine voice or towards a more masculine voice. All right. Please, for this session, stay muted so that we can do this smoothly. We have only 1 hour, and I don't want to bother anyone who is participating in this as well. But you know what? You will have your chance to move up on stage and to practice feminizing or masculinizing your voice, or even having an androgynous voice if that's what you desire. So, let's talk a little bit about voice and some safety things. So, first of all, you have to know that if you're going to do any voice practice, you want to make sure that you stay hydrated. That's right, hydration is very important. If your voice is dry, then you're going to hurt yourself, and that's not something you want, especially because a hurt voice will make it so that it's going to become harder to practice for a longer period of time. So make sure that you drink water, all right? Kind of like that. Okay. Some of you might be taking some medications, for example, spironolactone, which can be drying to the voice. Also, things like alcohol and smoking are bad for the voice. It's nothing new under the sun. It will be dehydrating to the voice and thus will make practicing a bit more difficult. But, you know, body autonomy reigns supreme. So you do what you want with your body. It's just if you are going to have behaviors that can be detrimental to your voice, try to work around it so that you don't do those two things at the same time. All right. That being said, there we go. We'll also want to do some vocal warm-ups after hydrating properly. Some of these vocal warm-ups include, well, softies, SOVTs. I know, very big, weird word, but what it means is semi-occluded vocal tract exercise. Again, a big word, but all you need to know is that these are some sounds that will make it easier for you to use your voice in a safe and nice way to just start warming it up. Basically, in a very simple manner, when you use your voice, you use the air from your lungs, right? So that air then pushes up, reaches your throat, and sets the vocal folds in motion. They start to vibrate. But because the air only comes from below, they always have to deal with that pressure from below. So this is why we do the softies, the SOVTEs. They help us kind of balance out the sheer strength of the airflow from below the vocal folds, from our lungs, by obstructing and closing a little bit the mouth, for example. So a sound such as a Z sound, zzz, can help us by closing a bit the mouth, and that can kind of build up pressure in the mouth, which can then in turn make it easier for the vocal folds to start vibrating and start warming up. You know, when you drink water, it just doesn't touch your vocal folds, right? Otherwise you would be drowning every time you drink water. Not optimal, right? So the way your body will hydrate the vocal folds is through the blood flow and through warming up your voice. So that being said, let's talk really quickly about what is the voice and how does voice work. So very simply put, we base ourselves off the power source filter model. So we use air that comes from our lungs. That's the power. It moves up to the larynx, which is where you find the Adam's apple, right? And in that area, you'll find the vocal folds, which are going to vibrate thanks to that air. That creates the source sound. And once that source sound is created, it will then move up to the filter, which is, well, your nasal cavity, your mouth cavity, and your pharynx. So basically everything that's behind the nose and behind the mouth, and that goes down all the way to the source, to the larynx, okay? And so what we're going to do mostly during this session is talk about how to modify the filter, how to modify the vocal tract size, the available space, to effectively feminize or masculinize the voice, all right? And of course, we're going to change the source sound, so how the vocal folds vibrate, to change how high in pitch or how low in pitch we can go. Okay? That's all you need to know for now. All right. So now that you know about this, let's do some vocal warm-up together, shall we? So what I'm going to do, and this is the only time you're going to be allowed to be unmuted, I'm going to do a slide or a scale, and then I'm going to ask you to mimic it. Sounds good? All right, let's try this out. Ooh. Give it a try. Nice, awesome. Now let's try a full slide. Ooh. You can do it. Yeah. And back down. There you go. Awesome. Great. We can do other sounds. So what we did with the O sound is we kind of created that O shape. The lips are in the way, and they kind of help the vocal folds vibrate in a more easy, stressless way, or pressureless way, if you will. Now let's try different sounds to have a bit more pressure in the mouth, and thus that can even more fight back against the pressure that comes from the lungs. So let's try a Z sound together. Nice, awesome, great. So that's the vocal warm-up. There you go. You can mute yourselves again, and you're free to do some of these exercises and the vocal warm-ups whilst you're muted during the session. So you can keep warming up as other people come up stage, or do the exercises as you mimic other people that come up on the stage. Whew, speaking is hard today. You'll have to excuse me on that one. But yeah, all right, so that's all I got to say. So as I said before at the start of the session, I'll be taking two people who want to feminize their voices and two people who want to masculinize their voices. So I'll start with someone who wants to feminize their voice. Anyone interested, please raise your hand. All right, I see Riley here. I think you're the first one. All right, come up stage. Come on stage. All right, applause for Riley. You can move from up here. Oh, whoops. Okay. Whoop. It's all right. No worries. All right. Applause for Riley. Oh my God, you're so tall. Or am I just small? Okay, that's maybe my bad. All right, so let's get started. Oh, wait, where is my phone? I'm so disorganized today. All right, we got 10 minutes starting. I'm getting the timer up. Give me a second. Starting now.
That's okay.
All right, Riley, welcome to this workshop.
Thank you.
What is it that you like to work on today?
I would like to work on feminizing my voice a bit more. I keep on forgetting to use it in regular speaking, and I just don't remember doing it.
Okay.
Much.
Have you already worked on some voice already? Have you done some exercises? Is this all new to you, or are you kind of a bit advanced on this?
This is very new to me. I keep on singing for myself, sing along with music and everything. So I try to get my tones differently, basically. But that's all I've done.
That's more than all right. So singing is great. It gets your vocal folds warmed up and it gets you exploring your pitch range. So that's great. That being said, have you ever heard of whisper exercises or vocal tract size exercises or resonance exercises? They're also called this. Maybe something like...
Actually, I haven't.
You haven't? Okay, let's talk about it. This is quite important. All right. Let me know when the slide here is loaded. So basically, as you can see, the vocal tract size, we call this the resonance. It's a smaller word, so it's easier to understand. But basically, You have to imagine it's kind of like a guitar versus a ukulele. The guitar has a bigger body, so when you strum the strings, you get like a nice deep sound. But when you get a ukulele, you strum the strings and it's a much brighter, much smaller sound. And the same thing happens with our voice. You and I, we've been blessed or cursed in a certain way by testosterone. And testosterone has three main effects. One of the main ones is to drop the larynx. As you can see, the larynx drops lower and it becomes bigger as testosterone affects your voice. And so, thankfully, we can't shrink it, but we can move it up, which will effectively allow us to do move it up, right? Unfortunately, my avatar can't show it. Maybe someday when VRChat is evolved enough, we don't know. So anyhow, to do some of these exercises, what we're going to do is we're going to first separate pitch from resonance. Because when you hear my voice and when you hear your own voice, you hear a mixture of resonance and of pitch. And together, that's your voice. But resonance can also be heard alone. That's just a whisper, right? And so you can hear that this whisper is feminine, just like the same way this whisper,
this whisper is masculine, right? Yeah, you got me.
And so what we can do is modify the whisper so we don't have pitch in the way, so we can only hear the whisper change. And if the whisper changes, then you've effectively done a vocal tract size change.
The bigger the wolf.
The
bigger the vocal tract, the darker the sound is, the more masculine it is.
The smaller the vocal tract, the more feminine it is. Right? So, I need you to do something really quick for me. Can you please go to your audio settings and make it so that your noise suppression is turned off, and also make sure that the mic activation threshold is all the way down to 0%.
Done.
All right, awesome. Can you give me a whisper? Say something like, hello.
Hello.
Awesome. So now I want you to say the sentence, pat that cat, on a whisper. Kind of like this. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Awesome. Now try and do this. Make a really dark whisper. Pretend you're Darth Vader.
Pat that cat. I am your father, not really, but pat that cat.
You got it.
Pat that cat.
Awesome. Great. So what you've done is a much darker voice than what you usually do with your voice, even without any resonance practice. So congrats, you've masculinized your voice. Okay, sorry, that's not what you wanted, right? So let's go the other way around. You start from that really low pat that cat, and we're going to go brighter.
Pat.
Pat, pat, pat.
Pat, 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 pat.
All right,
Can't do
awesome.
the last-
Be
can't do the last
careful.
one.
The last one sounded like pet. You heard it, right? Pat and pet are not the same words. And that's important for everyone and for you as well. Whoop. Okay, sorry, I'm lagging a little bit. Okay, so that's very important for everyone, because if you change the vowel sound, so a to e or a to e, for example, you're changing the size of your mouth. That will be the mouth size, right? And that's a problem because right now we want to work on getting your larynx higher. Because eventually you're going to want to move your tongue around, say a, o, e, u, all the different vowels in the English language, and perhaps other languages that you speak. And so we want to make sure that the a stays right. You got pretty bright, okay? You don't need to push it super high, right? So let's try it once more, and let's aim for pat from the start to the end.
Pat.
Pat, pat, pat.
Pat, pat, pat.
Awesome. That sounded super bright. And now from that bright one, can you say, pat that cat?
Pat that cat.
Awesome. And now we're going to try this. Can you match my pitch? Doesn't need to be at a feminine resonance or whatever, just match my pitch here. Nice, singing did pay off. And now what you're going to do is the following. You're going to go back to that bright pat that cat, and then slowly bridge into a full voice. We're going to basically close the vocal folds. It's going to sound like this. Pat that cat. Pat that cat. Give it a try. All right, so that was right.
Kind of difficult.
But the pitch was really low. So like technically you can feminize low pitches, but it is harder. So make sure that you aim for that higher pitch. Let's try it again. Match my pitch. Awesome. Now try the following. Awesome. So you've bridged from your full voice back to a whisper. So now try this. Give it a try.
I can't do the last one, I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. You need a big breath of air for this. Maybe you didn't take enough air. So make sure that we... And... Alright, awesome. And from there, try to say... Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
All right, very good. Awesome. So there was a little bit of a drop down, right? When you did the, you kind of did, pat that cat. So you lost a bit of that resonance, right? You could have had, pat that cat. So it's something that you will be working with and you're going to get better at, right? Holding those whispers and closing the vocal folds properly. It's not super easy, but basically what you have to keep in mind is that new slide. Has it loaded for you?
Yeah.
Awesome. So when you're doing a whisper, your vocal folds are completely open. And when you're using your voice normally or singing, your vocal folds are not really closed. They're kind of like opening and closing very quickly, right? But basically, a lot of the times when I had you do all of this, I had you go from whisper to balanced, but I never really heard the breathy part. And the breathy part is very important because that's the middle ground where you hear both it's that middle ground that allows you to both hear the pitch that you're aiming for, but also hear the resonance, hear the whisper. If the whisper goes dark, like then you hear, I lost it there, right? So I want to make sure that you can keep it. Do you want to give it another try? Trying to make the slide really slow? Okay, let's do it once more.
Pots.
Pats, pats.
Pot, pat, pat, pat.
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Okay, so careful there because you did pat that cat first, and then you did pat that cat. So you dropped it a little bit from the first one you did. So be mindful of those things. Let's try it once more. Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
And now, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Nice. And say, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Awesome. Great. Okay, there you go. That's already a lot more feminine than what you got going on before. Okay, let's compare it with your usual voice. Can you say pat that cat normally?
Pat that cat.
And now, pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Alrighty, great. That's already a superb start, right?
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat. A whole world between those, right? So
Yeah.
keep it up. You'll be better at the whisper exercise. You'll be better at closing the gap from the whisper back to the balanced voice. Make sure that you watch out for the breathy sound so that it stays bright just as your whisper is. And record yourself, listen back to yourself. And thus you will get like a good feedback from yourself and thus get better and better. All right?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. You're welcome. Applause for Riley. You did great. Woo! All right. Okay, I feel really small, so I'm just gonna grow up. Let's go. Awesome. So, next up, I'll be having someone who wants to work on masculinizing their voice. Do we have anyone?
Interested in making their voice more masculine? Anyone wants to raise their hand?
Perhaps? Not you, indeed. Oh, I see someone. Ray Sailor. Come up at stage. Come up, come up, come up. Applause for Ray.
Hey, I'm very nervous. This is
Hello,
my
very
first time coming in
nervous.
person.
Hello, very nervous. I'm Savvy. I had horrible jokes. Welcome up here. So let's see. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Look, you got the yippies from the audience. Nothing can go bad, right?
Yeah,
Let's
I guess
get started. It's a guaranteed win. Don't you worry. All right. Well, welcome. So today you want to work on making your voice more masculine. Is that right?
so. Yeah, I don't really have many chances to practice, so it's good to come by here.
Okay,
This is my first
great.
time, so I
Well,
don't really.
welcome.
I
Let's
have like
see.
been here to visit the, like on Discord. I've watched some of these, so
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I do have kind of an
And
idea
you-
of what I need to do.
All right, awesome. So I don't need to go over the whole like what testosterone does to your voice and kind of like how to mimic that testosterone affected behavior.
I mean, I'm not really. I mean, maybe go over it a little bit. Just, a
Very
refresher
simply-
is nice.
Okay, very simply put, testosterone does three main things. I didn't mention all of them. The main thing it does is that it drops your larynx. It makes it bigger. So, or it drops your larynx down. Once the larynx has dropped, it will make the vocal folds longer. So longer vocal folds allow for a slower rate of vibration, which then leads to a lower pitch. This is a low resonance combined with a lower pitch, right? And then there is a third thing that testosterone does, which is thicken up the vocal folds, which basically results in having a much more boomy, more full sound. And that is how you can go from a really feminine, bright voice to a really masculine voice that sounds really full, right? That's the whole idea. And we can mimic this by doing the same exercises as for voice feminization, just we flip it around. So, you know about the resonance exercise, but here I want to tackle it with a different approach. Let's start with pitch first. I want to have an idea of how low you can take the pitch and see what we have to be working with. All right, so I want you to mimic after me. Nice. nice. Okay, good. Ooh, okay, nice. Okay, do that last pitch again. And can you take that any lower?
I don't really know, like,
Okay,
if I can go that much lower. I'm not really sure.
fair enough, fair enough. The thing is, every time you're restarting the pitch, you're going up again. So let's try it
Yeah,
again, but this time I want, yeah. Sorry?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I just
I
want
kind
to
of
say,
forgot
like,
what I was gonna say.
it's okay, no worries. So again, and from there, I want you to keep that pitch and hold it for as long as you can. Okay?
I don't really use my voice a lot, so.
Great. It's okay. It's okay. You're doing great. So you are going down to E3, which is a very low pitch, given that you said that you haven't done much practice before, right? So let's talk really quickly about pitch ranges and behaviors. You're right here. You're like at the very bottom of most feminine ranges. So that means that you're also accessing a pitch that can be heard and identified as being masculine. So the E3 you did can also very much be
which you will agree sounds masculine, although like a high pitch masculine, but it's still masculine, right?
So with that in mind, we know that you can reach down to an E3. Now let's try and couple that with a darker resonance, with a bigger vocal tract. So what we want to do for this is take a whisper. I want you to try and say, pat that cat on a bright whisper, kind of like this. Pat that cat. Pat that cat. Okay, great. And now try this. Pat, 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 pat. Pat, 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 pat.
Can you hear me
so you went
okay?
down to yes, I can hear you just fine. Sorry, I'm just
Okay.
mimicking after you to see where you are at. Okay, so that resonance you did
Should be able to like yield a voice like this, right?
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So now that we've done this, let's try and bridge those two together, right? Let's bring the low pitch with the low resonance. So I want you to try this. Pat, pat, give that a try. Okay, great. Awesome.
Pat.
Can you say from there?
Pat that cat.
Pat that cat.
Okay, so that's interesting. What I heard here is the following. Pat that cat. So what happened is that you did the exercise properly, but as soon as you started speaking, it shot back up. This is what we like to call amongst teachers the gravity of behavior. Most voices are kind of attuned to what we're used to speaking with. So if you're like used to speaking up here, then your voice is going to default to this. And
If you're like used to speaking down there, your voice is gonna like go back to this, right?
so for this, you have to like be really conscious of what you're doing. Right now, just the pitch and the resonance. And so let's try a different approach. I want you to try a different exercise. Instead of doing whispers, what we're going to try and do instead is take a voice directly, like pat, and we're going to try and make that darker, as if we're yawning, like
Oh, you never notice how yawns like make you sound really, really dark?
that's because they cause the larynx to drop, right? So the larynx, the Adam's apple, you get it. So From
Yeah.
this, let's try to start with pat that cat up here. Paw. Okay, so pat that cat. Try it out.
Pat that cat.
Okay, and from there, pat, 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 pat. Try to go back to that feeling of hollowing the throat, of getting it lower.
Pat, 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 pat that cat.
Okay, so this is a more advanced exercise, but basically what you want to do is once you've done the whisper exercise, like pa, 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 you feel a difference, right? If you take your fingers and you take it up to your neck, can you feel a bump, even if a slight one?
I mean, yeah, I think a little bit.
Okay. What happens if you swallow, for example?
I can kind of feel it.
Okay, so when you swallow, it moves up, right? So you can kind of
Yeah.
feel it. Now, again, saying pat that cat, I want you to try and feel how it moves down. Pat, 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 pat. Okay, give it a try.
Pat, 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 pat.
Nice. Okay, how did that feel?
I could sort of feel it kind of move a bit, I
Nice.
think.
All right, awesome. So now, would you say that your voice by default is more on the high end of that posture or more on the low end of that posture?
I mean, it can kind of be, well, I don't know about super high, but maybe a little high up. It could be a bit lower if
Okay.
I'm more, like, make a more conscious effort.
Okay,
So-
great. So now what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and build up muscle memory and awareness of that lower resonance. Okay? So what I want you to do is do that exercise again of pat, 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 pat,
And find that lower resonance.
and once you've done that, I want you to pause, think about it, and then let it go back up to its normal state or to its behavior normal state. Okay?
Okay.
Pat, pat, pat. Try it out.
With, like, the whisper again.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Pot, 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 pot.
Careful, you're voicing it. There you go.
It feels
Okay.
a bit weird to whisper it.
It's okay.
It feels
It's
weird
fine.
to whisper
So
compared
that you
to, like,
better
normally
hear it.
talking.
Most people don't just speak like this all day long, so that does make sense. You're right. So now that you've done this, I want you to try, and instead of doing the whole scale down, pat, 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 I want you to instead try to do pat,
But
try to do the change without hearing the step in between. Give that a try.
Okay. Pat, pot.
Okay, good. So pat, pat. I know I've heard you go darker. So try it again. Do the whole scale. Pat, 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 pat.
Pat, pat, pot, 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 pot.
There you go. That's your darkest. Pat.
that's
Yeah.
your darkest. Great.
I think it's
Now
because
again?
I think I'm like, yeah, I'm lowering my
Yeah.
head a bit, which I don't know if that does anything, but sometimes I'm like looking
it can help you
down
explore
when
that
I talk a
resonance.
bit lower.
It does help to move your head down like this. It's not ideal, but for starters, it's not a bad idea just to kind of like get a feeling of it, right? So pat, 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 right? You found that dark sound. Now again, pat, and then
But
Pat, pot.
nice. Okay, now you reached the lowest point. So you didn't need to go. If you know how to find this, then you basically learned how to get to a bright position, to a
dark position.
right. And the next thing to do is to transpose that to full voice. So basically, instead of doing pat, you're going to do pat, because all you're changing with the whisper is the position of your larynx, of your Adam's apple. And so technically, if you have the right position and it doesn't move when you find a darker position, then if you just go into a voice, you should be having it. Do you want to give it a try?
I guess so, yeah. Okay.
All right. Still thinking about what you did with the whispers, but this time with your voice.
Okay. Pat. Pot. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know. I feel like more conscious about it. Like with my
It's okay.
regular
It's fine.
voice,
I get it.
I guess. I don't know.
It's okay. I get it. Honestly, like, you've been really brave. I can tell that you've been, like, a little bit, like, kind of, like, thinking about the fact that you're on stage. But, you know, like, you've done really great. Like, you've brought down to pat, right? So that's a very solid start. And you even jumped from pat down to pot, which is not easy to do, by the way, right? So that will build up more awareness and more muscle memory of where to place your Adam's apple when you want to speak in a more masculine voice. Then the next step is once you confidently go from ah to ah, then it will be a whole issue of, not issue, but a whole matter of bridging from the whisper into a breathy sound, into a full sound. And you can do that at your lowest pitch, which is like E3, okay? So I recommend that you practice with a pitch monitor software so that you kind of know where you are at in pitch. Because if you masculinize very high pitches, it can sound like and like no matter what you do, this will sound kind of like funny and kind of weird, right? Like most people don't talk like this. So you probably would want to like go for the lower pitches that you already have access to. So yeah, keep it up, keep practicing, and I'm sure you'll get it in no time. All right, applause for Ray Saylor, or Salor, sorry.
It's okay. I don't think about how to pronounce my username either.
Hey, it's alright.
Thank you. Hopefully I can come
You're
again
welcome.
and practice more.
I hope there'll be other sessions. See ya. Yippee! Okay. So, I'll have this time someone who wants to work on feminizing their voices. Someone in the middle here, you chose well, an active or inactive. Come up on stage. Come on. Woo! Applause for damn it, inactive? How do I pronounce it?
Either or.
Just okay, gotcha. Okay, welcome. We got 10 minutes starting from now. Okay, so welcome inactive or inactive. Since you're saying I can call you either. We got 10 minutes starting from now. You want to feminize your voice. That's right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Have you done any voice practice before that? Any exercises? Have you ever been here before?
This is my first time. Yeah.
All right, awesome.
But I have practiced a little bit.
Awesome, great. So do you already have like a work in progress voice or not at all?
No, I do. I'm not using it right now. But
Okay. Do you want to show it to all of us? No pressure, of course. No one's listening. It's only me. Me and my ears.
Hi. How are you? Sorry,
Okay,
I'm like
good.
super.
No, it's
nervous,
okay. I
but-
totally get you. I get you. Okay. You know what?
Yeah, I'll accompany you. Like I'll be down there to start, and we'll do this together. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
okay.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. Okay.
This feels weird. It's been a long time. Okay, so
All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to like your highest pitch. So let's try this out, right?
range. Okay, amazing. Okay, so oh, so you have more than enough. So you basically are like around here, by head. I don't exactly know, but okay, awesome. So now you know of resonance exercises, right? So let's aim for a bright sound. Let's try this out. Do you have your mic set up properly so that you have like the mic threshold all the way down and the noise suppression turned off?
I do now.
All right, awesome. Let's try this out. So, what I want you to do is the following. Match my sound.
Pat that cat.
Oh, pat that cat.
Nice. And now try this out. All right, awesome. And from there, can you say, pat that cat? Okay, awesome. And now what I want you to do is the following. First, let's find back a high pitch. For example. Okay, so we're let's try it slightly higher. Okay, so right now you're saying like an so it's a bit nasal. Try to make that into an ah sound. Ah. Okay, hold it. Okay, great. And from there, let's try this. Okay, so careful. I didn't hear you do the whole scale. How do you know how bright you are if you don't do the right? Try that again. Awesome. Okay, and from there, pat that cat.
Pat that cat. Pat that
Okay,
cat.
great. So what I'm hearing this, pat that cat. So you've actually made your voice really feminine, but there is one little issue. The difference between, the difference between pat that cat and pat that cat. What's going on? Well, for once, we get to see the third issue, which we normally never see. Great, you're doing something amazing. So, I can finally talk about this. Okay, so let's talk about vocal fold mass. So what you've done is successfully made it so that the pitch was high. So your vocal folds were vibrating much faster than
At like a low voice, right?
you've also raised your resonance by effectively doing pat, 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 ah. But then, for some reason, pat that cat, we have the sound instead of having the sound. So what happens? It's probably due to how your vocal folds are behaving. So generally speaking, when you are using a masculine voice, you are using lower pitches. But if you're only using lower pitches and a low resonance,
Then like you just sound like this, right? Like it's a very hollow voice. So to not sound like this, your body has probably done the following. Made the vocal folds thicker to kind of match up with that bigger vocal tract to fill up that space, right?
so when it comes to your feminine voice, you have some left over of that thicker vocal fold mass. And so what I want to do is make sure that we have a really soft, gentle sound. And it starts on the whisper. Remember how you did the whisper? Instead of sorry, I'm lagging. There we go. Instead of so by using a soft whisper, you can set up yourself to start with more light vocal folds. Do you want to try doing the gradient again? So instead of doing
Sure.
let's go for pots, pots, pots. Give it a try.
Pot. 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 Pot.
Okay, good. That's a lot quieter than before. Oh, well, sorry, I'm lagging a lot. And now let's try pat. And, okay, so try and say pat that cat.
Pot that cat.
Okay, but now
Cat.
pat that cat. So now you've lost your resonance a little bit. I think, oh god, whoops. Okay, I think you're maybe struggling a little bit with how to make your vocal folds a little bit thinner. So maybe you can try first to make your voice really soft.
Let's go back down here, okay? And I want you to match my pitch here.
Oh.
Awesome. So now let's make that pitch really soft. Instead of, I want to hear,
like let's go like super chill.
lot better, right? Hear the difference?
Great. Now that we have that softer sound, let's go back up in pitch. Try it out.
Okay, and now let's go a little bit higher. So careful there. I think you started letting a little bit more mass creep in. So let's try to make that sound softer as well. Okay. You can try pushing less air. That can help. Okay. Careful, you change the pitch a little bit. Let's go back up. Okay. Say pa 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 pa.
Pa 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 pa.
Okay. So do you notice how you do this pa 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 pa? So I think you're pushing still too much air. So try to do pa, like a strong P. Okay. Now try to make a softer P. Pa 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 pa, like low amounts of air. Like you basically want it to be silent. Pa, pa. Okay, that's awesome. Remember that same intensity. Pa, 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 pa. Okay, and now pa, 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 pa. Okay, now you're a lot softer. And now let's couple those two things together. That soft high pitch, pa, with a brighter resonance. Pa, 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 pa. Softer whisper, pa, pa, pa. More like pa, pa, pa. Okay, and now pa. Nice. And say, pat that cat.
Pat, pat that cat. Pat that
Okay,
cat.
good. Okay, careful there. Pat that cat. Okay, great. So, I think that there is still some work to be done here on the vocal fold mass. I feel like a lot of the times there's like a lot of air is coming out, right? So it's kind of like a vicious circle. You try to soften your voice, but then you're like too breathy. And then you try to do a soft voice, but as soon as you try to start getting into talking, your voice becomes thick again. Pa 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 pa. Something that you have to watch for. I recommend that you try already in your masculine voice, like down there, to like already try to like get more habitualized with like speaking more softly. And if you do this, it will become more easy to then go up to like a more gentle, higher pitch voice. I feel like a lot of this is just like that you probably don't use high pitches all too much, right? And that because you don't, your body's like, okay, well, I'm going to do a high pitch, but I'm going to do it without changing how the vocal folds are behaving. And so, yield into like a really buzzy high pitch, right? So,
Yeah.
I know I heard you do, so I know you're capable of going softer. It's a matter of remembering to do it and then applying it to your voice. All right? Otherwise, you already had a bright voice and a high pitch. By my standards, it's a feminine voice. One is like a little bit buzzy, but like this is still a feminine voice, right? So that works, right? So make sure that you keep doing that, the resonance and the pitch, and work on making your voice a little bit softer. All right? I really recommend that you work on managing your airflow. So how much you breathe out versus like think like ASMR you know? Like an ASMR channel would be like, okay, today we do an ASMR on how to pat the cats. Okay? Try to think with that in mind. All right. Good job, inactive or inactive. I got you.
Thank you.
So, best of luck with your practice. Record yourself, listen back to yourself, keep practicing, and you'll get there in no time. All right.
Thank you.
Applause for inactive. Clap, 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 clap. Okay, so I'm afraid that we're a bit short in time. So I'll have one last person who wants to learn to masculinize their voice. Is anyone interested in making their voice more masculine? Okay, I see terminally Evie. Oh, wait. Come on stage. Come up, come up, come up. Applause for Evie. Welcome. Oh god, you're even taller than the other ones. Okay. All right, welcome.
Here. Does this help?
Oh, this helped. This is amazing. Thank you. Don't hurt your legs. All right, let's get started. 10 minutes starting from now. Okay, cool. So, Evie, you want to learn to masculinize your voice, is that right?
Correct.
All right, awesome. So, that being said, have you done any exercise before? Have you already been here before?
I've been here before, but I haven't done any exercise or anything, no.
All right, let's assess your pitch range. I want you to start at your highest pitch and go down to your lowest pitch. Give it a try.
Okay, so like we're like down here. Let me check what that pitch is with like my pitch monitor because I don't know this by head.
Okay, so check a G3. Can you try and match that pitch again? Okay, so and from there, can you do
Oh, 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 oh.
Okay, from there, let's try take it a bit lower. Nice. Okay, do that last one again.
Oh, 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 oh.
Oh, 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 oh.
again. Oh.
Oh.
Okay. And can you go any lower than that, or is that like your limit, you would say?
I think that's my limit. I can feel that one in my stomach.
It's great. Let's feel in the belly. You're right. Oh, okay. Great. Now, maybe it will be easier to go lower in pitch if we lower the resonance as well. So you said you've done no exercises at all, really? I find it hard to believe. But let's give it a try anyways.
I'm into voice acting, if that does anything.
Oh, hell yeah. Let's go. Voice acting is great. Okay. Let me think about it. I know a voice. You watched SpongeBob, perhaps?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay, great. Do you know how to do the Patrick Star voice? Or like, you know the reference of Patrick Star?
Oh, like, hey, SpongeBob, like, I'm doing a terrible Patrick Star, but like, hey, SpongeBob, like, it's kind of like that just very chill bro dude voice, you know? Yeah.
Hey, SpongeBob.
Great. So what you did here,
Hey, SpongeBob, is you made your voice darker, because that pitch is, that's a C4, and in the normal femme voice,
that sounds like this, right? So what you've effectively done is you have made your vocal tract bigger. And talking about the vocal tract, I want you to try and go towards that Patrick Star voice, like give it like that really yawny quality. And you want Patrick Star to say, pat that cat. Pat that cat, and go, pat that cat, SpongeBob. Or whatever he says.
So, like, Yanni?
Yeah, a yawny quality causes your larynx to drop.
So, yawning makes our voice more masculine as a result.
Okay. Pot.
Okay, pot. Yeah, let's try and speak like that. Pot. Yeah, let's not say pot, but pat instead. Pat.
Careful there. Yes. Okay. Do you notice how that pat brought your voice back up?
Pot.
Pat. Oh.
Pat.
Yeah. So you have to be careful. Again, gravity of behavior here, striking back. So,
Pot.
okay, great. So let's try and take that pitch as low as we can. All right. So what I want you to do is, do you know of creak? Kind of like that. The kind of like crackly quality.
I've heard of it, but no.
You've never done it before?
No.
Okay. Think of like Valley Girl voice. I know this is a voice masculinization process, but it will make sense, right? So the Valley Girl voice, right? Like, I'm very sorry for anyone from California, by the way. Oh my God, I cannot believe you. That's so dumb. Oh my God, that creak quality. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Can you do kind of like that sound? Maybe you've like tried making fun of the Valley Girl voice.
I don't know. Oh my God. Like that.
You got a little bit, like, that was like a little bit shaky, but like, yeah, that closure sound. Another way to get it is to go ahead and like use the least amount of air possible whilst closing the vocal folds. So kind of like okay, you got really close. Just there that your vocal folds are just a little bit too tense. Here you got like a but you want it to be more relaxed. Okay, that's already better. Good. Let's try the different pitches. Maybe it's easier at a higher pitch. Can you try it like up here? Yes, lots better. Okay, so now what I want you to do is take that pitch and try and stay on that creak sound for as long as we can.
I don't think that was a creak.
It's technically a creak, maybe a bit of a tense one. Like one that maybe closes a bit too much, so like some feels like more relaxed. Right? So creak is interesting. It's a very important sound in both voice feminization and masculinization. For masculinization, it allows us to find a more relaxed sound. Remember what I said about testosterone affecting your voice? Well, creaking allows the vocal folds to vibrate in a really relaxed pattern. I mean, like, oh my God. Like, if that doesn't sound like relaxed and like chilling out, I don't know what does, right? So that creak sound can maybe help us reach lower pitches thanks to the relaxation properties that it has for the voice. Hence why I made sure that you weren't doing a tense creak, because otherwise that wasn't going to really help you out. So an exercise that we can try here is the following. To kind of like make the vocal folds more and more relaxed as we go down in pitch. Do you want to try it out?
Mhm.
Give it a try. Can we go even lower?
I think that's as low as I can go.
That's interesting. When you said, I think that's as low as I can go, it's that on the low, I think as low as I can go. Okay, so right now, you seem to be comfortably able to go down to like a G sharp 3 of a pitch. So let's go back to the pitch ranges. Cool. So right now we're kind of here-ish, right? In that area.
Mm-hmm.
But when you spoke and you were like, that's my lowest, you actually went down here. You were like here before. So you went down 2 semitones. So I know that's not true. When you speak, you actually go lower. So I know. When we're like doing conscious practice, we don't necessarily realize how low we can go. And, it's like more artificial, right? So let's see. What if we instead did some talking? Yeah? Let's try this out. How about you read that first sentence for me? Let's go for this pitch. That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
That mad brat sat on that flat mat.
All right, awesome. Now try this. Pat, pat,
Pot, pot,
Pat, pot, pot, pot.
Oh, very dark. And now from there,
pot, pot that cuts.
Pot, pot that cut.
okay, and from there, pat that cuts.
Pot, pot that cut.
Oh, nice. And now say, oh, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Oh, that mad brat sat on that flat mat.
Great. And let's try this. That mad brat, that mad brat, that mad brat.
That mad brat, that mad brat, that mad brat.
Yeah, that mad brat. Can we go even lower? That mad brat, that mad brat, that mad brat.
That mad brat, that mad brat, that mad brat.
Okay, good. Okay, so we're still capping around like G3, F sharp 3, but you got like a really dark resonance though, like that mad brat, like that's very dark, right? Like I would hardly call that a like feminine voice. Like imagine, hey girly, how are you doing? No, not quite. Even at higher pitches, that sounds masculine. Although I do guess that here pitch does play quite an important part. With practice and time, since you said you've done no exercises yet. I recommend that you do some of the softies, some of the relaxation exercises that we have been doing before. So like, remember the slide we did at the start? Well, you might want to do the following. So that you can warm up going towards lower pitches, find the lower pitches, and try and play a bit with the creak as well. To help your vocal folds relax and thus perhaps reach lower and lower pitches. So with practice, you can get a lot lower. I know that there's some even like cis women singers that can sing as low as like a D3, so like da 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 da. Like some of them like can like sing down there, but technically they were not exposed to testosterone. So clearly practice can bring you places. And if you do plan on taking testosterone in the future, perhaps that will really boost it up. But know that there's like a lot to be gained here in range. That's not like the end goal of what your pitch can do. So yeah, keep up at it. Do the softies, or oh, or even perhaps you've heard that funny exercise.
Call that with like the lower resonance and like try to speak a bit lower pitches.
I think right now, what you need most is to practice your pitch range. I think you got a very strong, like
Dark voice.
as you showed me with the Patrick Star voice. So I think like right now, the pitch and maybe a bit vocal fold mass increase might be important. Are you still there? Okay. Oh, whoops. I don't know what's happening. I guess I'm gonna start meditating. Maybe I'm meditating too. I can't meditate. Okay. Anyhow, we're a little bit late here, and I don't want to be holding everyone from the staff too long here. Whoops. Anyways, even if Evie's not here, please give a round of applause for Evie. All right. You'll see this on the VOD, I hope. But yeah, best of luck with practice, and I'll see you on. Okay, so I hope that you will get to practice some of that. It feels like speaking to a wall. It's kind of weird. Anyways, so do we have any questions from chat or from Discord?
Yes, we do. Our first question to ask, can literally anyone find a way to get their voice sound almost perfectly feminine or masculine with enough training? Or is there also people who physically can't?
Yes and no. Yes, everyone can sound very feminine and very masculine, depending on how much training they do and like kind of their vocal abilities. But no one is unable to do whatever voice they want to do. I do think that maybe there is like very slight limitations that are based on biology. Like, sure, if you're like a really small person and have never been exposed to testosterone, or even if you've been exposed to testosterone, sometimes testosterone doesn't really affect the vocal tract, you know, like we're not all equal in how testosterone affects us, then you might not get the most feminine voice. Like you might not like have like super high-pitched VTuber, like anime style feminine voices, but you will be able to have a feminine voice, and there's many voices to be experimenting with. Like you can definitely roll with like a lower femme voice, you can roll with like a more medium femme voice, and you can roll with like higher pitched femme voices. So it's really up to you for what you want to go for. I say don't set yourself like crazy high objectives, and also like recognize that you know, like there is many different types of voices that exist. It's not because there is a very predominantly like perception of femme voices that are like super high pitch, super high resonance, you know, like most people in real life don't talk like that, and probably in VR chat as well neither, right? Like a lot of us consume media, consume anime, consume movies, consume like media that technically shows us voices that are, you know, very that often resembles itself, you know, but there's as many different femme voices as there is masculine femme voices out there. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. So everyone can have a feminine or a masculine voice, but no one can't get a voice, if that makes sense. No one can't
Okay.
not get. You got it. You understand? Do you have other questions?
Yes, we do. Can HRT also affect how easy it is to modulate your voice?
Can HRT affect? Okay, yes, it does, but to a minimum effect. If it's HRT that has testosterone, that will be the most impactful practice. But for feminine voices, HRT will barely do anything. It will do one thing, however. After several years, like me, I've been on HRT for like 5 years now on estrogen, I have lost some testosterone. And so my vocal folds have lost a little bit of ability to go really thick,
Like, I can still, like, go really, really thick with a mask voice, but, like, I could do, like, even more boomy voices than this before.
and heck, like there's a lot of voice hacks that allow you to do crazy sounds of your voice. So don't rely on hormones alone to find a masculine or feminine voice. If you have not started testosterone, you can get started as soon as possible. If you haven't gotten estrogen or anything of the likes, you can start feminizing your voice. So surely testosterone is a huge hack that helps us because it gives more matter, if you will. Like literally the vocal folds will become thicker and have an easier time going lower. But yeah, HRT does affect the voice, but it's for feminine voice users, it's going to be very minimal. For masculine voice users, it's going to have a huge impact. But again, with voice training, as we can see, even non-testosterone affected individuals can find very masculine voices as well. Do you have other questions?
Yes, we do. Thank you so much. For someone
problem.
with a raspier voice, is it possible to reduce that raspy aspect with training as well, or is
Okay.
that more of an immediate
So
characteristic?
the raspiness depends on what happens. Some of us can have what we call global chinks. I don't have like per se a thing that can explain it properly, but basically the vocal folds here, right? They're not always like this. Like if you have been, I don't know, like entertaining harsh vocals, for example, like think metal vocals, and you've done it unsafely, or you've been screaming a lot, or you have been like practicing your voice past its point of, fatigue, then, you might grow what we call nodules. So like the vocal folds like kind of have like little bumps on them. And so that raspiness is a physical one that can unfortunately not be reduced unless you do some surgery or unless you do like a very intense voice training to I guess get around that. Again, it depends on what kind of raspiness you have. Like, is it like this kind of raspiness? Because some raspiness is behavioral. So what I would say is, I'm not a doctor, so you should check out with what we call a laryngologist. So someone who's like a doctor of the larynx and the throat, who will then be able to check out if you actually have a physical issue. If they say nothing is up, then go on. Practice will help you get away from that raspiness. Okay? I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. There's just 2 more questions.
Okay. Oh God, so many questions. All right. Go ahead.
Sorry, one second.
No more questions or questions from the public. I see people raising
Sorry,
hands
the
here
next
too.
one is,
Yes.
I have kind of random results. It's inconsistent. Sometimes I feel like I have a very nice feminine voice. Then another day or some hours later, it sounds different. Is it only a matter of practice, or is there any specific skills to work?
For consistency, it's a matter of practice, and it's a matter of not just practice, but good practice. And that means that you want to do the exercises, but most importantly, you want to record yourself and listen back to yourself as much as possible. And if not, make sure that when you practice, you listen to yourself properly. Listen for the voice qualities.
Am I dark?
Am I bright?
Is my pitch really low?
Is my pitch really high? Is my voice really abrasive and has high vocal fold mass? Is my voice too soft for my goal voice? Like all of these things are to be taken into account. So it's mostly practice, but you also have to not only practice the exercises, but also practice your critical listening. So basically, it's kind of like anything you practice, will have to be a level of skill and a level of being able to judge that skill, right? If your ability to practice and do voice stuff is greater than your ability to judge yourself, well, you're going to eventually not be able to go any higher and do any better with your voice because you're not aware of how good or how well you're doing, despite, your voice practice, being properly done, right? If you don't know what you're doing, then how are you supposed to progress? So practice and critical listening. Listen for these things. Hence, the record and listen back to yourself is really important. And the last question from Discord, I believe.
Okay, the last one. It's a little bit tricky.
Okay.
What would the qualities that make this final push for the perception of the voice be? Like, are there voices with high P, low BW, and really bright R?
I didn't understand anything.
I
Wait, is it in voice training?
Yes, for voice training. What are the qualities that would make the final push for how people perceive your gender? I'm guessing they're asking.
Oh, okay, wait. Oh, there it is. Okay. What are... Okay, I can't find it. I don't understand this. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's in the Twitch. Okay, that's why. Okay. Yeah, my bad. Okay, I'll come back to that one. People from the public, I have two. I'm only going to answer two from the public, the one I see from the start. So go ahead, Samantha.
I'm fascinated by feminization hypnosis, so I'm wondering if you've
Oh,
worked with any vocal hypnosis.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What?
I'm just wondering if you have ever worked with any vocal hypnosis to help people with their voice.
No, not specifically, no. But hey, if it's something that like helps you feel better with your voice and maybe you like feel stress about your voice, right? Like I think hypnosis can be very good. Like I've had a hypnotherapist to like work with depression before, and I assume that if you want to work with like dysphoria and alleviating a lot of voice dysphoria when you practice, I think hypnosis is definitely a good way to go with this. So sure, I don't think there's any problem with it. Technically.
Thank you. Thank you.
No worries. Okay. What question do you have, 6-year?
Hi, Sav. The question I have is: can people use lower vocals in singing? So, like as an example, like if a singer has a lower vocal cord, can someone sing along and train their voice to lower their pitch that way?
So what you're saying is trying to lower your voice by bringing the pitch down? Like, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Lower someone's voice by singing along a more masculine voice?
Yeah.
Sure. Go for it. Good idea. Anything that gets you to use your voice is great. Yeah. There's an answer. That was a really easy one. Yeah, sing along. It's like if you're like singing to like
It's the sound of silence.
Right? Then maybe like you can try and transpose that. It's the sound of silence. It's the sound of silence. It's the sound of silence. And finally,
it's the sound of silence.
That's a low one for me too. So there you go. Try practicing alongside that. And Shay, I want to go back to that question. What would be the qualities that make this final push for the perception of the voice? Like there are voices with high P, low. Oh, high P. What's high P? Oh my God. I know what low vocal weight and really bright R is, but I don't know what high P is. Oh, this is not helping. Okay, please write whole words when you speak about this. I don't specifically say P for pitch. Okay, so voices at high pitch, low vocal weight, and really bright R. Okay, my control is tight, great. And good articulation and enunciation that sound way more masculine. No, not really. I mean, okay. So the question is about, are there voices that are pretty much everything that we say it is? Like, I guess like bright and high pitch and really soft. Like, can that sound masculine? The answer is no, not specifically. I mean, like, it can sound like butch, I guess. Like, you can like change your words and stuff, but yeah. That's a okay. Right. Okay, okay. I mean, we are talking about everything that is, voice masculinization and feminization. So, if you have those three components, you're fine already. Like, the only thing that could make your voice, I guess, more final pushy is, like, I guess, intonation, rhythm, choosing of words. Like, I guess, like, if you speak like a dude bro in the most feminine voice, I guess it can clock you. Like, again, like, gender is a social construct, and that's very important to say. Like, even if you have like the most feminine voice, people will have different ways of perceiving it. Like, you might not feel like this masculine voice is a high masculine voice or a low masculine voice. You might not feel like this feminine voice is feminine enough. Maybe to you, this feminine voice is androgynous. And maybe for you to perceive me as feminine, I like when we like talk up here, I actually have no idea, right? Like, everyone has like a different reference point. Most people kind of tend to align and say that this is a more feminine voice and this is like a lower feminine voice and this is like a very low feminine voice, but they are all feminine. So the question of final push gives me a lot of vibe of, vocal dysphoria. Like, when you've done everything right, but it still doesn't sound right. Maybe you're still hearing like your accent, and maybe you're still hearing like other vocal artifacts that make your voice, that make you remember what your voice was before feminizing it or masculinizing it. And maybe that's what you hear as being clockable to your voice. But other than that, there's, these three things are the only things you really need to care about to feminize or masculinize your voice on the long run. The only final push is consistency, right? Like, become consistent. If your femme voice is like this, and sometimes like you have like little drops like this in the middle of sentences, then that's what's gonna clock you, no matter how feminine your voice sounds. Consistency and, I guess, boosting to the max resonance, pitch, and vocal weight. Also, like, you do cast like a very complicated question, but the easy answer is consistency is the final push. Intonation and accent and vocal dysphoria is not talked about enough. Voice is both a physical and psychological process you can't do without the brain. So that's also something that you have to work on as well. I hope that answers the question properly. All right, so okay, awesome. I have lost an arm, so you'll have to excuse me on that one, but I can still move somehow. Wow, my arm does this weird thing. Okay, so I've taken enough of your time, staff. Thank you so much for being able to stay up until this late. I'm so sorry about this. So anyhow, hey everyone. My name is Savvy. I teach voice feminization as well as voice masculinization. I also teach stuff such as human beatboxing with sounds such as... If you want to learn any of this, you can always shoot me a message on Discord at SavvySav up there, Savvy_Sav, just like up here above my head, same name on Discord. I also got a Discord server at discord.gg/smalldbwr big QMV. My server is called Scientifically Augmented Voice. I teach voice feminization and masculinization public lessons over there, so you can drop by. Listen to some lessons there, and yeah. If you want, I also do public and private lessons, so you can talk to me in Discord if you want to book anything. So yeah, thanks to all of you for showing up today. I hope you have a wonderful start of March, and yeah, have a nice Sunday. Bye-bye.
Know you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.